and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree Buonomo. Hi if you're new here, or hey if you've been here before. Today is one of my favorite videos to film because I'm going to tell you about all the goals I have for 2023. So for this year, instead of making multiple goals videos, I am just going to do one video and I'm going to talk about a couple different areas. So those areas would be writing, reading, general life stuff, professional goals, and YouTube goals. So because I only have a few goals for YouTube, I'm gonna start with the YouTube goals first. They're pretty simple, but because I had just went through an entire year of nonstop working and going to school and internship, it's been a lot for me, and it's made me realize that as much as I love doing YouTube, it is a major commitment. And while I don't want to stop completely, I do think I have to be reasonable with how much I'm going to be able to do moving forward and balancing that with my job as well as my writing. So for 2023, I have 3 simple goals. The first one is that I would like to post at least 2 videos a month. I used to post every single week, and prior to this year, I used to post twice a week. And I think that that's just unmanageable at this point in time. When I was posting twice a week, it was in the midst of COVID during 2020, and from 2019 to 2020, I was also in a job where I had much more flexibility and I had some downtime when I was at my house. I might not have as much downtime anymore because I do have a pretty stable job that is a 7 to 3 type of situation. So I'm gonna try at least twice to post. I think that's doable, and I likely can exceed that, but I don't want to set my expectations too high and then let myself and you guys down. On top of that, I've realized that I really miss live streaming, and that was something that I pretty much completely cut out this year because it was too much of an effort trying to schedule when I was burnt out after working for 12, 14 hours a day. So for 2023, I would like to have at least 1 live stream on my channel. This could include guests, it could just be me. And this does not count me being on other people's channels. So this will be 1 live stream on my channel. If I jump on other people's channels, that would hopefully just be a bonus. And then finally, I would like to do some more collaborations with people. Specifically, me and Autumn Ashley attempted to do a sort of book club read along with our followers back in 2021. And I couldn't keep it up. And I know Autumn also had a ton of life stuff going on. So the 2 of us just kind of fizzled it out very quickly. We would like to restart this in 2023, making an announcement in January, and I'll give a little bit of a spoiler alert. We are planning on reading 1 book a quarter, so that would be a total of 4 books a year, and maybe also adding in some short stories or poetry collections in addition to the main book we're reading, just to give a little bit more variety and also just opening us up to other types of writing. Be sure to look out for that announcement, but that is the type of collabs that I'm looking to do in 2023. Now I'm going to go into the reading goals because I also don't have many of these. As always, I never change this reading goal because it's the most doable for me, but I would like to read 52 books in the year 2023. That would be a book a week. Normally I can exceed that when I'm not crazy and stressed out, but it's also doable where if I fall behind, it's not too hard to catch back up. In addition to the 52 books, 2023 is going to be the year that I finally read Brandon Sanderson. I have been putting Brandon Sanderson off for a long time at this point, and it's because it's kind of intimidating. The man is super prolific. He has so many books that he publishes, and they're usually massive. Well, I don't think they're hard to get into. It's just been hard for me to think about reading something so big and so vast when I haven't had the capacity to do so. So in 2023, it's gonna happen. And I also may have backed Brandon Sanderson's Kickstarter for additional books that he's going to be sending out. I'm really pushing myself to read Brandon Sanderson next year so I can justify the fact that I bought signed copies from him of book series that I've never read yet. Aside from Brandon Sanderson, I would like to add again more horror into my reading list. I tend to really like horror when I read it, but then I will get into more fantasy and sci-fi, and I never tend to put more horror in. I'm not going to specify like a certain horror author or any like parameters around this. As long as it falls in the horror category, whether it's fantasy horror or sci-fi horror or gore horror, I don't care. As long as it falls in that category, I would like to read some more of it. And lastly, I would like to maintain the 2 book clubs that I am a moderator for. The first one is on my Discord, Litosaurus Rex, where we primarily read sci-fi and fantasy. That is free to join, and if you are interested in joining my Discord for monthly books, you are welcome to do so. The link will be in the description. In addition to that book club, I also host a book club that is in person at a local business. I've been doing pretty well with that so far because I am a co-host of it, but it is a lot to maintain because it's in person once a month, but we also post a lot on the Facebook group to maintain it. And those are just the 4 reading goals I have. I think they're pretty doable. And now for everyone's favorite, my writing goals. So I tend to have very lofty writing goals for myself. Whether they're realistic or not, I just have so many things that I want to accomplish. So for this year, I have broken up my writing goals into 3 tiers. The first tier being the ones that I'm going to commit to and hopefully get done this coming year. Second tier is the ones that, should I finish the first tier, I would like to venture into these ones. And the third tier is like, okay, I have accomplished all the goals beforehand. These are like my reaching goals that like, okay, we've been doing great. These are going to be the extra things that I can get done within the year. So for my level 1 goals, the ones that I'm going to focus mostly on in the year 2023. The first is going to be Prophecy Project. I haven't been talking about that very much lately because I have been querying Prophecy Project and I have not gotten very far with that. It's been about 9 months since I started querying Prophecy and I have not gotten interest in it. I had 1 request and unfortunately they just said that while my writing was good, the story wasn't fully interesting and it wasn't something that they thought they could accurately represent. So because of that, I have decided that in 2023, the only thing that I'm going to do with Prophecy Project is, if it opens, I would like to submit to Author Mentor Match and see if I can get accepted to do some revisions on Prophecy with somebody who's in the field. If I do not get accepted into Author Mentor Match, then Prophecy is going to be shelved for now. It has been a solid year in my opinion. I've given it a shot. I think it is my first novel that I've written to completion, edited, and got this far by myself, but I've learned quite a lot along the way, and I don't know if Prophecy is going to be my debut. So yeah, an overall sad goal for Prophecy Project, but a realistic one at this point. It is not worth dragging it out, and I've queried probably 40 agents, maybe 50. A lot of them that I wanted to query were closed, but I queried a lot of people who were open and got nowhere. So I think that's a sign that it's time to move on and get to the next story. With that being said, I would also like to edit Project Mermaid. Project Mermaid is the book that I'm currently working on, and I'm hoping that by the end of this year, I will be done with the editing process. I'm going to get some critique partner feedback, and hopefully I'm going to jump right into edits for the second draft. In addition to Project Mermaid, I would like to finally draft my vampire project. This project was outlined in 2021 with the full intention that I was going to write it in either Nano 2021 or Nano of this year, and grad school and my internship just kicked my ass, and I knew that I had the outline, but I did not have the ambition to actually sit and write it. It's a pretty heavy novel, and in the headspace I was in, I couldn't force myself to do it. In order to get through the goals that I have for myself, and I'm going to take a page from my dear friend Autumn Ashley, and I am going to make a time goal for myself. I think doing word goals is not always feasible, especially when you're editing, and I also think that trying to do like days is a little bit too broad. So for the year 2023, I would like to write at least 3 hours a week. We may or may not increase that or go over it, but to start, I just want to do 3 hours a week of writing. I have fallen out of writing so much because of my internship, but I'm going to have so much more free time next year and I want to use it wisely. I don't want to get into other pursuits or other investments and lose the time that I could be writing, especially because there is an overlap from when I'm done with work to when my husband gets home and is done with work. So I can always bang out at least an hour or two during that time, and there's no reason I can't be doing that. And the last goal on my level 1 of writing goals is to submit a little bit more to short stories and poetry collections. I started doing this in 2021. I got rejected a lot, but this past year, I think I only submitted 2 poems total. I have a few publications in mind, and there's a few that I had been trying to submit to, like Havoc and The First Line, that I never ended up even writing the stories for. So I would like to maybe invest some more time in writing some short stories and poetry, or editing what I have written and submitting those to publications. And that's my tier 1. Those are the ones that I will be going to target the most. And I'm not going to move on to tier 2 unless I knock out something on tier 1 first. So for my tier 2, I just have a few goals that I could add on to my list. The first one is to edit my Project Micah, which is a sci-fi novella. I wrote this, I believe, in 2020, and I love it. However, I never really got the time to go back in. And because it's a sci-fi and it definitely has more science aspects that I had to do a lot of research for, it is going to take a little bit of time to edit to make sure that all of my notes and everything are still accurate, and that any science that we know or could think of hasn't changed since I wrote that story. The second goal that I have is to continue Project Demetria. This is my dystopian adult novel that I was co-writing with my friend Caitlin. We started this and we had a whole series on my channel called the Rework Chronicles before I decided to go back to grad school. I decided that, Kate decided to quit her steady job to be a full-time business owner, which was a gamble for her, and our lives got a little bit shaky. So Project Demetria completely fell to the backside. We have quite a lot written, but we never really plotted out the rest of the book, and that was something that we needed to start doing. So if I finish a couple of the goals that I would like to do, I hope that Kate might be open to continuing Demetria's story. And that happens, then I will also be bringing back the Rework Chronicles on my channel. So hopefully that would happen, because that's one of those goals on my tier 2 that I would love to bump up to tier 1, but I know that it involves other people and that other person has a very busy schedule as well. On that note, with Caitlin, we are working on the rom-com, and by the end of the year that should be finished its first draft. So if we can get together and edit the rom-com, I think I've mentioned this before, that we have a lot of comps that are current, and I think we could easily query that one. But we would still need to do some editing, so that would mean a couple rounds of edits and some early readers just to see where it stands as is. And my last level 2 goal is to plot my Project Dreamland. I mentioned this in a different video where I was starting to get some sparks of interest for this story, because I tend to simmer on them and wait until I collect little pieces of ideas before I move into writing it. And I would like to at least plot it out, have a draft ready, and kind of have an idea, much like I did with my vampire project. I think this one's going to take a lot of insight and time to gather and plot, so that's why I put it on level 2, because I could easily move it to level 1 and get it done, but I think it's going to take a little while to plot out and figure how I want to write the story. And then we have our level 3 writing goals. These are the far-fetching, high-reaching goals that if I amaze myself this year and accomplish the first 2 tiers, then maybe level 3 will happen. The first on that list is maybe I want to query another novel. Obviously, tier 1 and tier 2 are going to have to happen before I move into querying. There's a lot of projects like my sci-fi novella that I need to edit still and get readers on, as well as the rom-com. There's also Project Mermaid that needs to be edited, and the vampire project that needs to be written. So there's a lot of things that I don't know if it's going to work next year. But if I can get something to the stage that I'm ready to query and I feel comfortable with, then I would love to query something else next year. It would likely be at the end of the year, preferably maybe in October before nano season, but you know, that's just the high reaching goal. If not, I'm probably going to end up querying in 2024. Another level 3 goal that I have is to work on Project Metal with my co-writer Kelly Wright. This is level 3 because me and Kelly have talked, and while we were super ambitious and really wanting to write this story, Kelly became agented and is going to be publishing her debut novel through Inimitable Books by Zara Hoffman, and that's amazing for her. So she's going to be published next year in 2023, which means she is contracted to write a trilogy right now, and that's her main focus. So for both of us, we're going to be focusing on our own projects, and if we have time for Project Metal here and there, then we'll write on it. But for the most part, it's a high-reaching goal. We might not work on it at all, but we always have to come back to it if we want to, and we have the outline ready to go when we have time to eventually get together and write. And my last level 3 goal, which again, super high reaching, I might want to host a writing retreat. As the year has come to a close in 2022, I have been in talks with maybe working and partnering with a business who might be interested in having me host a writing retreat with them. So I don't know. It's in the talks, but I don't know if it's going to happen in 2023. But I have always wanted to host a writing retreat where we just get together, we have fun. We might do some little things, but the focus is on creativity and just boosting people up. So it's a high-reaching goal, but if it happens, I would be so excited. So that's my writing goals for 2023. So as far as my professional goals, that would be in the counseling field with my current job and the future of my career. As we all know, I went to grad school again in order to get licensed. So my 3 goals all have to do with licensure. I am set to take a test in April or May. So in the meantime, from January to April, I would like to study about 2 hours a week for that exam. I have a book. Pretty much everyone says to read the book. You will pass if you read it. And obviously using the knowledge I have from my job as well as just going to school, it should be a passable exam, but it is an intimidating one. And a lot of people have such anxiety over it. So if I set aside 2 hours to study a week, I don't see how that would overwhelm me, and it should set me up pretty well. Then in April or May, whenever they finally give me an actual date to take this exam, I would like to take my NCE, my National Counseling Exam, and pass. And once all of that is said and done, and I get that passing paper, I'm going to apply for licensure. And hopefully by the end of this journey, by midsummer, I should be a licensed professional counselor, and I get to have a nice little credential after my name, after my master's degree. So I am very hopeful for this. I think it's doable, but it's still, again, I was hoping that this would be over much sooner, but it's not, so that's my goal. And then for the last bit, my life goals. I just have a few of these, again, for just some regular things in my life that I would like to accomplish. The first is that in 2022, I really fell off the wagon with my exercise. It really started in the pandemic in 2020, but I worked so much during the pandemic, and then I went back to school in 2021 throughout this year of 2022, and I just really don't exercise as much anymore. And I really don't at all. I should be honest with myself. That's never something that I expected to happen, but self-care and your body, your physical body tends to go out the window when you're stressed, and it's very true for me too. So for 2023, I would just like to get back into some regular routine. For me, I would like to do 3 times a week to exercise. I should have enough flexibility where I can throw in a weekend workout, a night workout, and a morning workout, or some combination of all of them, and meet that goal. I love working out. I love running. I love dancing. I love moving my body, and I know it's been feeling very worn down lately, and I think that's in part that I used to exercise so much and do so many things, and I haven't in the last few years. In addition to exercise, I have 2 savings goals that I would like to continue contributing to. The first is I would like to continue saving for an Ireland trip. Ideally, I want to go to Ireland in August 2025 to renew my vows with my husband. We are both Irish. I have a very big love for the Gaelic traditions and my Irish heritage, and I want to learn more, and I would love to actually visit there. Because I would love to make this a really well worth trip and maybe go for 2 weeks, I need to save quite a lot of money for that. And obviously in 2023, I'm only going to have 2 more years to save for that trip. So I would like to just keep saving. Every paycheck, put a little bit of money towards that. On the same side of things, in the next 3 years, by 2026, I hope, I would like to move out of this house. This house has served me very well, but me and my husband are not happy with outside house things. Like, our neighbors are very much on top of us. We don't have a yard for our dogs. It's just not ideal location wise either. And a lot of crime is happening more often where we live. So it doesn't feel safe anymore. And we would like to move. We want to move to the country where we have no neighbors, some land, and we're able to just like do what we want and do us. So in the next 3 years, we would like to save for the house. So again, I would just like to contribute that so we can have a pretty sizable down payment. And last, and probably like a goofy goal, but it is a goal of mine and I'm putting it out there because I want to do it. I would like to repaint this room. So as you can tell, maybe in the video right now, it's kind of dark in here, and I contribute that to the green on the walls. When we moved in, I really wasn't thinking of the fact that this green was not going to look good because we moved in 2014, and that was well before I ever started doing YouTube videos. And truthfully, I didn't really care at the time. I really wasn't like, you know, the green was whatever. But I painted the blue to kind of separate it more, and I never thought about the fact that once I painted it blue, I really hated the green. And I was just really sidetracked by the fact that I could have also just bought white paint and painted it white on top, and I never did that. So I would like to plan for the summertime when I have more downtime from my job. I would like to paint the top half white and then finish any accents of the blue that I might have missed, because I did miss a spot in the blue, and I would like to finish that. So there you have it. Those are my 2023 goals. There's quite a lot of them, but I think because so many of them are in different categories and a lot of them are just things that I'm going to constantly work on and do over the year, I think they're achievable. And I'm also proud of myself for breaking my writing goals into tiers, because I know me and I know that if I said I wanted to do all of these goals, I would not have made like any of them. And that's typically how it goes for me. So let me know down below if you have any goals for 2023 in writing, reading, or anything else that you have your heart set on. And until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.